Hey guys, so today we're baking something special. They're called Pogácsa. This is the Hungarian biscuit. It's one of those treats that here in Hungary is usually served when people want to have a little celebration, maybe around the holidays. It's very common to serve this with some wine or with some beer. They're very salty and they're kind of like what I call a Hungarian bar snack. What makes these biscuits special is that they're made with lard and crackling. Typically they're made with pork, but I'm going to make them with duck today. So these biscuits kind of hold a special place in my heart because it's something that I grew up with. Even in the States, my mom used to make pogácsa. Except she used a very simple recipe using baking powder. Traditionally though, pogácsa are made with yeast. We want to skip all that fuss. So there's no kneading, there's no waiting, there's no resting. Basically, you just whip it together in a bowl and then you bake it off and you have biscuits in no time. We're going to start by mixing together all the dry ingredients. The all-purpose flour, the whole wheat flour, the spelt flour, the baking powder, baking soda, the salt. And I'm also going to do many grindings of black pepper. I have it on the coarse setting. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to give it a stir to combine all the dry ingredients. Now I'm going to set this aside while I chop up the duck crackling. You could use a food processor for this, but I don't happen to have one, so this is the easiest method for me. And now I'm ready to scrape this into the dry ingredients. And now I'm adding the duck fat. And now I'm going to combine this together with a fork. You can also use a pastry blender. You have this really great crumbly, sandy texture. This is exactly what you want. And now I'm going to add the sour cream. At this point, I'm going to fold this in. So I'm going to add just a little bit of all-purpose flour to my board, and I'm going to continue with the pogácsa dough on here. I'm adding some flour to the top, and I'm just going to bring this together. You don't want to handle the dough too much. You want the chunks of lard and sour cream to help make the dough flaky. I don't have a rolling pin, so I'll be using my trusty jar here. I think the jar needs some flour as well. So you want to roll it out to about a little more than a half an inch and keep it in the rectangle shape. So we want an egg wash so the top is nice and crispy. So you want to beat the eggs until it's completely liquefied, just like this. And the Hungarian tradition for pogácsa is that they should have a cross-hatch top. So for that, I'll be using a razor blade. You can use a ruler for this if you like, but it's not that hard to draw a straight line. Honestly, it doesn't have to be perfect. And now we're ready to cut out our biscuits. I have a biscuit cutter and I'll be baking on the back of this pan. So I've already placed parchment on top. And meanwhile, I've had the oven preheating at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for about a half an hour. You do want it really hot. Okay. And you can hear the crunch as it goes through the crackling. And you'll want to flour your ring. And these won't grow that much, so you can space them close together. I don't like to re-roll the scraps. What I'll usually do is I'll kind of squish them together. Move over here and I can get out a biscuit like that. So I want to give them another egg wash. And now here comes the final little extra flourish. I'll be adding some fleur de sel to the top. And this is great because you'll get a little extra bite of salt when you eat these. And you want to bake these for about 20 minutes. These have been in for about 20 minutes. And they are looking really, really good. I'm going to let these cool slightly on the baking sheet and then I'll transfer them to a rack to finish cooling completely. So there we have it. Our pogácsa. They're almost room temp, which is the perfect time to slice into them. Now this isn't something that's traditionally done with pogácsa, but I think it's a great twist. So I've created what I like to call the Pogácsavics. It's a pogácsa plus a sandwich, and that equals a Pogácsavics. It sounds very Eastern European and I think it works really well. I have my fillings already prepared. I have scrambled eggs, smoked duck breast, and scallion. Okay, let's put together one of these nice little sandwiches. I'm using a fork because it's just so brittle. It's like cutting open an English muffin. You don't really want to saw through it and have it crumble into 20 different ways. And now I'll add some duck breast, 2 slices, some scrambled egg, and scallion. I like to have a little bit of the white and the green as well. And our lid goes right on. So what's the verdict? Let's see. It's so smoky and salty and unctuous, especially with the smoked duck. The scallion adds this nice little bit of punch. You need that to break through all this richness. I really recommend you try this for like a brunch. You can have friends over, lay out the biscuits, everyone can cut their own and assemble their own little sandwich. You can vary the combination of ingredients. It doesn't have to be eggs, scallions, and smoked duck. It could be whatever you like. So here you have it, the pogácsa and the Pogácsavics. These biscuits are great on their own, but they're even better as a sandwich. Serve them for brunch with family and friends, have people assemble them, and you'll have a crowd pleaser on your hands. Let me know what you think in the comments.